views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Open, the one and only show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world right to you. I'm your host, Daren Jaime. Today, we'll update you on what's happening in and around our borough, as well as across New York City. Coming up on today's show, we go front and center discussing the stigma around mental health for older adults and the challenges the older adults have faced throughout the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Afterwards, we'll talk about how DSNY is working closely with veterans of all ages and their families. Then we'll learn about how the Department of Sanitation is providing New York City residents safe options to properly dispose of harmful household waste. And also, we'll discuss a tribute show for a dance teacher who impacted her students. More details later on in the show. And then finally, we'll talk about how the Bronx Night Market is supporting the growth of local small underrepresented businesses. So we want you to stay tuned because all this and much more is heading your way. Right now, we're officially open. And hello, everyone. I'm Daren Jaime, and you are watching Open, a show that brings the Bronx and New York City straight to you. We also want to welcome our viewers on Manhattan Neighborhood Network, as Open is being broadcast live simultaneously on the MNN channel. We also invite you to stay connected to us on all of our social media platforms at BronxNet TV, and then also on our website at BronxNet.org. A lot has been going on through the past week. We'll take you through a couple of things with our Bronx updates. We start off with COVID-19 news. New York City's official COVID-19 risk alert has been upgraded to medium. This symbolizes the virus is spreading faster throughout the course of the 5 boroughs. New York City Health Commissioner Ashlee informed that the case rate in the city now stands at 200 per 100,000 people. That rate increases the city's risk alert from the low level it stood at for months after the staggering Omicron variant wave in the winter. Now, the increase also comes as city, state, and federal officials relax many stringent COVID-19 mandates, such as indoor mask wearing and vaccinations. In other news, we now talk about the New York City Council. It's voted to push back the implementation of the new city's pay transparency law, which has been slated to take effect this month. Now, the new law was designed to curb longstanding gender and race-based pay disparities. It'll now take place on Tuesday, November the 1st, 2022. Most New York City employees will be required to begin listing salary minimums and maximums whenever posting their hiring notices for most positions after that date. Now, in addition to pushing back the start date, the council tweaked the bill, clarifying employers get a warning and 30 days to fix their first violation before facing city fines. The law also now clarifies that you can't sue an employer for not listing salary ranges under the law unless you work at the company and specifies the city's Commission on Human Rights as the main enforcement agency. Well, that is all the time we have for our Bronx updates, but we are not out of show. We encourage you to stay with us. Open continues coming up right after this. welcome back. After 2 years of pandemic isolation, as well as anxiety and grief, mental health has never been more important. Nationally, older adults commonly reported depression, anxiety, and poor sleep during the COVID-19 pandemic. BronxWorks is committed to ensuring that the elderlies, well, I should say the Bronx elderly, live out their golden years with respect, as well as dignity they deserve. Now, what initiatives they've actually taken to assist those in need? Joining us now and sharing more details, we're pleased to have the Department Director of Senior Services at BronxWorks, Maria Rivera. And Maria, glad to have you here with us on Open.
Thank you for asking. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I want to talk to you a little bit about this because when we talk about older adults and mental health, I gave a little bit of a lead in because the last couple of years, as we said, has been very, very traumatizing for a lot. From your experience, what are you hearing from people?
Yeah, so I think the pandemic affected all of us, but seniors most often are already isolated. Many family members move away, they live alone, they have very few social supports, which is why the older adult centers are important, so that they can, speak with their peers. So we found that many seniors became very depressed. They were anxiety filled, not knowing what's the future, because of the pandemic. They lost a lot of their friends. They lost a lot of support. So what we were doing is we were calling many of these seniors. We had like a calling tree, and the staff and I, we just Zoomed, all of us just got on the phones and started calling people to try to alleviate the anxiety and trying to ask them what kind of supports that they need. So it was traumatic for a lot of people, but older adults, it was more so because they already had little social supports and a lot of them were already socially isolated. So
for you, having an opportunity to talk to some of these people, the ones who have anxiety, the ones who literally lack loved ones and that support, what difference did that make from your perspective in their lives, given the fact that maybe they didn't have somebody to talk to?
Well, they appreciated us calling them. They also told us their needs. We found many of them were locked in. They couldn't get food. They had a lot of food insecurity. They needed PPEs. And so what we did is we took our bus, since our centers were closed, we took our 14-passenger bus, we filled it with bags of pantry, with PPE, and we went to these seniors' homes. We put the stuff in front of their door, we'll knock on the door, and we will walk away. So they appreciated a lot of our work because we were able to fill those needs for some of those seniors. And then we spoke to them on the phone. Some of them, we were also able to enroll them in tablets. We gave them tablets or iPads. We over the phone, it was difficult, but over the phone, we gave them instructions on how to use the tablets and iPads so they can participate in classes with us, like meditation and even exercise and even an art class. It was a difficult feat, but we were able to really give a lot of services virtually.
Amazing. And congratulations on that, really being able to service our most vulnerable population at a time that's really, really, really needed. When we talk about mental health and older adults, a lot of stigma it's usually associated with that. Talk to us about what are some of the stigmas that are associated when we talk about mental health in older adults?
Well, also cultural, it's a cultural thing.
Yeah.
Some of my people, think it's, if you get some help, you might be loca, but we spent many, many years eliminating the stigma from our older adult centers, except that during the pandemic, that's almost 2 years, we felt that we were going to lose that battle of people feeling stigma again. However, what ended up happening is that everybody realized that everybody was going through some depression or anxiety, and that everybody at some time or another needs some help, mental health. So it sort of was, we didn't see the stigma return, which was great. And we do have a lot of people participating in now virtual support groups for the people that still do not feel comfortable in returning to the older adult center. And then we have in person, and then we have both. So I think that we're trying to provide the best services we can to as many people as we can, because we can have a lot more people in our groups when we do them virtually. So, but I don't think the stigma really has returned, because I think they realize everybody needs some help.
Yeah. Maria, allow me to dial back for a bit, because BronxWorks does offer a variety of different support services for seniors. So you are the director of senior development, department director, I should say, for senior services. Take a moment, if you will, for our Bronx viewers and our New York City viewers, and give us a little bit of insight into some of the programs that you offer and things that are available to seniors that maybe a family member out there might say, listen, that might be good for my parents, my grandparents, or a loved one.
Right. So our department has really grown. We used to have 4 senior centers in a NORC. A NORC is a naturally occurring retirement community. We now have 8 senior centers and 2 NORCs. And within those programs, we offer education, recreational service, programming, whether virtual, in person, or hybrid. We also do transportation. We have a bus that we can take them shopping. Their favorite shopping trip is Walmart. We also have an elder abuse program. We have a minor repair program. We have a senior housing assistance program. We also have a crime victims legal service program. So if you're an elder, and even if you're not an elder, we also have a crime victim legal department now, where they can deal with, order of protections and all other stuff like that. Trying to remember everything we had. And we have the Geriatric Mental Health, which is the program that we screen for depression, anxiety, abuse, and alcohol abuse. And that's when we provide the one-to-one counseling, or we provide support counseling.
Right now, I know that we're in a better shape. I know they've upped the level as far as our COVID-19 level being raised back up to medium, but yet and still we're seeing more mobility, more people becoming outside and active. Are seniors taking more advantage of being in person now, or are they pretty much still staying isolated given the fact that we're at higher levels?
Okay, so we thought that we would get a rush of people when we opened up at 100%, but we're not seeing that. So I guess that seniors are still reluctant to return. Especially because we cannot mandate a vaccination to come in to the center, so we can have both vaccinated and unvaccinated people. However, they do come out for pantry, so we have upped the pantry. We also have now we went from, I think, 3 pantries to 7 pantries, food pantries. So we do take advantage that when we see them on pantry lines, when they come here, we give them our calendar of events. We give them flyers for events. So we want to let them know when they're ready, they can return whenever they want. And these are programming that they might want to participate in, especially art class, computer classes, exercise classes in person. So we take advantage of the pantry in order to let them know that there are programming, and whenever they're ready to come back, they can. And if they have any anxiety or anything, they can talk to a counselor.
Yeah. Maria Rivera, who is Department Director at BronxWorks, we want to thank you so much for the work that you're doing in the area of senior services, and for our Bronxites, a great opportunity to tap into some much needed services that are available for our seniors, particularly at a time like this. Maria, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much. And you can always go on our website to look up all our programming.
Yeah, and so for people who want to know exactly what that website is, all you got to do is go to BronxWorks.org, and then also follow them on Instagram and Twitter at BronxWorks. All right, well, we're taking a quick break. We've got more open. Don't go anywhere. We're returning right after this. Welcome back to the show. May is Military Appreciation Month, and it's a time that we reflect on the dedicated service of military members within our community. Now, throughout the month, we celebrate and appreciate the contributions of servicemen and women and veterans from all walks of all ages and also works with their families. And we're pleased to have sharing with us from the Veterans Program Liaison of Visiting Nurse Service of New York, Sung Yoon. And Sung, thank you so much for joining us. And first of all, thank you for your service to our country.
Oh, thank you so much, Daren. Thank you for having me. So I do work as a veterans liaison for Visiting Nurse Service of New York. And just like you mentioned, we do serve veterans of all ages and their families. What we do is we help provide information to not only the Bronx community, but throughout the New York City to make sure the veterans and families are getting the benefits that they're eligible for. So a little background about me, I enlisted in the Army right after the 9/11 attacks after high school. So I was just 17. So I enlisted as a combat medic and I wanted to make a difference being able to give back to the country. And after I finished my boot camp and my medic training as an EMT, I was still too young. I was still 17. So they sent me to a non-combat unit, which ended up being the first Army medical hospital at Walter Reed in DC. And after that, I did speak Korean fluently, so they sent me to Korea and other duty stations. So after my military service, I moved to New York City, went to Columbia, and joined Visiting Nurse Service a few years later. But my military experience allowed myself to learn not only about different cultures and religions, but all aspects of life. And it really taught myself to just be able to give back to the community because community has done so much for myself and others as well.
And so how rewarding is it for you, a veteran yourself, to be able to talk to veterans, counsel other veterans, and give them that guidance? Having somebody that's quote unquote been there, done that, and have a t-shirt to be able to talk and identify with right where they are.
So, I mean, there's a lot of things that's relatable. We can talk about, things that we didn't like, we did like, how the drill sergeants were, under our skins. And it's really about getting to know each other. We learn it from young age in grade school to learn about your peers and your classmates. So same thing with veterans, learn about their service, learn about, their experience and get to know them as a person. And what they did before the military, after the military. And there's so much to learn from our older generations too. So these veterans, they have a story to tell. And I think if they're willing and and anyone's willing to listen to them, they're going to love to share their story.
Yeah, and I know you have your own experiences yourself, right? A lot of experiences where, whether it's starting after 9/11, being that young officer, if you will, into the service, and then transcending into now VNSNY. Talk to me about what your experience has been like and bringing that to the workplace, because I think it's important. Everybody has life experiences that they bring, but how does your military experience come into play when it comes to your work?
So, I mean, I enlisted when I was 17, not knowing much about the real world. But, everything I learned in the military, learning patience, learning how people work differently, think differently, and there's whole teamwork that has to go into getting a mission done. So that I bring to the table where I work closely with my colleagues and my team to get the mission done, which is to be able to support our veterans and their families in need, when it comes to healthcare needs. And I think looking back, it's just being able to work with different cultures in the military allowed myself now in New York City in the melting pot to be able to really try to understand where they're coming from, whether it's religious background or their culture or their tradition, and to learn what not to do, what to do, that's normal for them, and to respect that.
Yeah. So we're seen in the Bronx. We're also seen in New York City. And so we do have a wide audience. Talk to us about ways that the Bronx could possibly be of help to the work that you do, and even on a wider scale, those across the city.
So, I mean, especially in the Bronx, we do have a great deal of Spanish-speaking Hispanic community where they're very close knitted. And, if one thing's positive, everyone wants it. And if it's negative, not everyone might talk about it in a positive light. But I want to share that it's okay to ask for help, regardless it's for yourself or, for your friend, family, neighbor, and to see what benefits there are out there, not only for veterans, but for the entire Bronx community. Because sometimes I feel as they don't ask for it, and no one really knows, and those that deserve and that needs the services do not get a chance because they just weren't aware of it.
Yeah. Are you seeing any common threads or needs on behalf of veterans that come through your doors that you go to visit in terms of this is something that everybody's talking about?
So, I mean, we have veterans of all ages, and I just encountered a 101-year-old World War II veteran. So,
Wow.
it's becoming a little bit more of a rarity to deal with World War II veterans as they're aging. I believe the youngest right now is probably about 95, 96 years old if they joined when they're 16. So, we need to be there for the veterans that, did serve, that fought for our freedom and our country. So as they're aging and they need our help, we're here to support. But I think it's more of a community that needs to support the veterans in need and allow other people that can help to let us know, or there's get them to the medical care that they need or mental health care that they need. And it takes a village, it takes a community because they might not be able to get the help themselves individually.
Yeah. Our veterans are sometimes an underrepresented population. I mean, they've done great work in service to our community, our country, fought for our freedom. And I think that more people should know about the work that they put in, the sacrifice that they made, and now today, the support that they actually deserve. When we talk about learning more and finding out more about the work that they need, or your work and the work of veterans, how do people go about accessing that?
So, no one comes back from active duty without, any physical or emotional scars. So they can utilize their local VA hospitals or vet clinics, if they need help relocating their military discharge paper, which is like the birth certificate in the military,
Hmm.
to get any kind of benefits, or even a VA ID. It's a small step, but it really helps to know what benefits there are for them. So even though they might be opposed to going to the VA, I recommend all veterans, regardless of when they served, to go to the VA, see if they are eligible for care and go from there. And for the veterans that are under our care, um, you know, you can go to vnsny.org. You can call our direct number, that will be posted as well later, where they can reach out to us for information. And we're here to be the community resource, to navigate the benefits, based on their eligibility.
Yeah. So before we go, I want to take a moment to just ask you, from your military experience and the time that you spent serving our country, what would you want the public to know when it comes to veterans?
So, I mean, veterans, I think any veteran, I think they really do appreciate even a small, simple thank you for your service. I don't think anyone has saying, oh, I don't appreciate it. So the Memorial Day is special and dear to most of our veteran community because we have, brothers and sisters, men and women who served and gave the ultimate sacrifice. So Memorial Day is not only the, start of the summer for most of us. It's really to remember and honor those, that gave up their lives fighting and defending our country and our freedom. So I want people to know it's not just one day a year, but it does affect their families, and our, other veterans that experience it, firsthand, that it's 365 days a year. But it is even a small gesture of saying, thank you for your service, appreciate your service. It goes a long way. And it might make a Veterans Day because they might have never heard that before.
Yeah. Well, we know 365 days a year, our veterans definitely deserve our attention, our love, and our support. But we know that May is Military Appreciation Month. So we want to tell you first of all, that we want to tell you, Sung, thank you so much for the service that you've given, not just as a veteran, but carrying it on even further and helping veterans out at VNSNY. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. So anyone interested in volunteering with our visiting nurse service program, they can feel free to go online at vnsny.org or call 1-800-675-0391. And we'll love to have, all volunteers of all ages work with us and work with our veterans.
Thank you so much, Sung. And again, if you didn't catch that, yes, you can find out more about VNSNY's veteran services. All you got to do is go to the website, and that is vnsny.org. And again, that phone number, in case you missed it, 1-800-675-0391. We want you to stay with us because guess what? We do have more open coming up. We'll return right after this.
When taking public transportation, don't touch your phone. Carry hand sanitizer and use it immediately upon leaving the bus or train. Avoid touching your face. If someone is coughing or sneezing, move away. Wash your hands with soap and water as soon as possible. Limit contact with poles. If possible, avoid rush hour. Don't eat or drink on public transportation. Keep your bag off the floor or other surfaces. Avoid directly touching turnstiles. Stay up to date with the latest from your local health department and CDC.
And welcome back to the show. The Bureau of Recycling and Sustainability leads initiatives to reduce waste and keep recyclables from reaching landfills. Now, their focus is driving New York City to send zero waste to landfills. Joining us and sharing more details is the Senior Manager of Special Waste at DSNY Bureau of Recycling and Sustainability, Ashlee Barker. And Ashlee, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. Great to be here.
It's great to have you, and great to have this conversation, because when we talk about reducing waste, and we want to talk about this event that you're having, because in the Bronx, you're having what's called a safe disposable event. Now, for somebody who may not be so familiar with this terminology, what's a safe disposable event?
Great, yes. So safe disposal events are sponsored by the Department of Sanitation. And so they're an effort to make it easy for residents to safely dispose of and recycle the harmful household products that they have in their apartments or homes. The things labeled chemicals, danger, corrosive, items that really shouldn't be put in a black bag and put out as trash or recycling because they're hazardous. For the environment and for the people to collect it. So we will be in the Bronx at Orchard Beach on Saturday, May 14th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And residents can drive up and drop off all of those items that they have a hard time getting rid of otherwise.
We call those items harsh products. And for somebody who may not be so familiar, you shared a little bit about what harsh products are. But if there's somebody out there that says, listen, I may have some of these in my house and I can drop them off, what would be considered a harsh product?
Great. So actually SAFE stands for solvents, automotives, flammables, and electronics. So hopefully that sort of helps residents know what it is that they'll be going around their apartments or homes looking for, and that they can bring to us. So it includes, any chemicals, cleaning products, again, anything that you find in your home that on the back is labeled danger, chemical, corrosive, hazardous, sort of along those lines. Any automobile oil, motor oil, anything with a motor in it will take, any flammable objects, fire extinguishers, any cylinders or canisters of that nature. We'll take all of your paints, all of your thinners, all of your stains, and then also all of the electronics that are banned from being placed out as trash by the state of New York. So televisions, computers, laptops, and those kind of items.
And we know there's a reason for this ban, because they really harm the environment. But walk us into, I should say, a little bit about how these products, if not properly disposed of, actually affects the environment.
Yes, so when these products aren't disposed of properly, if you were to place them in a black bag that's collected by sanitation for waste disposal that goes straight to trash, those end up getting to follow a long line from the trash truck, sometimes into barges, trains, different trucks that get sent outside of the city because we don't have any landfills within the 5 boroughs. So there's an expense there's an actual expense tied to that, which is sort of a waste. And then when everything gets to its ultimate endpoint, it'll end up sitting in the landfills, and then all of those corrosive chemicals leach out, and they're contaminating our soil, our water, our air. And then it's also, there's just the sheer danger to the people actually collecting these materials. They can cause, sometimes, depending on what it is, explosions in our trash trucks. If they're, placed as recycling when they shouldn't go in a recycling truck, it can cause injury. Fires can occur and things like that. So there's definitely costs associated, for human transportation, and then just the cost to send it somewhere where it shouldn't be. And there's definitely those environmental impacts of just, as you can imagine, when anything's sitting in the ground, it sort of just contaminates and continues to travel. It doesn't stay confined to that area where it ends up.
Yeah. Most people in the city use household products, whether you're cleaning, you're moving around, doing stuff like that. Automatically, when you get finished with it, it goes in the garbage. Sometimes it hits that black bag and we throw it out. So, in the old days, I remember we used to go to the, but there is a proper way to get rid of household products. So share with us the household products that we may have that we probably need to properly dispose of.
Right, exactly like you said. It's usually the cleaning products that we all use every day in our homes, that, in small volumes, you may not think, what could this do? This can't cause too much of an impact. But obviously, when you look citywide, and if you think of every household that is just, potentially throwing away those items, it really adds up to a lot of materials. We don't want mercury or lead or cadmium or anything like that. Those are a lot of the items that are predominantly in electronic waste. And if that's going to a landfill, it is going to leach out and contaminate the soil and such. So it's largely cleaning products and mostly electronics. All of us have the electronics at home and may not know what to do with it. There's a lot of great drop-off options, but our safe events are an effort to just sort of, you can load your car up, eliminate some of the guesswork. We'll take it and sort through it. If it is, regular recycling or trash, we'll handle that. But otherwise, we make sure that the vendors collect it and recycle it safely and responsibly. So we'll capture and eliminate any of that dangerous stuff that could potentially leach out.
So Saturday, May the 14th is the date of the event, and you can come out to Orchard Beach and be able to do that. The hours are between 10 and 4. And this event is also rain or shine, correct?
Correct. We'll be there, rain or shine. We've been there in a nor'easter before, so hopefully we have better weather than that this year.
Talk to us about public response. How responsive is the public when you put these events on?
We appreciate New Yorkers so much. We know that it's not always convenient to get to the locations where we are, and public transportation isn't always the most reliable. The response from New Yorkers is amazing. We usually see maybe around 3,000 or so attendees, depending on the day. It is a long line, and usually we'll get you in and out as quickly as possible, but there is a queue and a little bit of a wait. And we just appreciate so much that people are willing to wait on the line and bring us their items to make sure that we recycle it safely. So it's really, really wonderful for us to see the interest. We were on pause for a short while due to COVID. And so last fall, we brought these events back for the first time, and the response was just overwhelming. We've seen some of the highest numbers of attendees and the volume collected since coming back. So it's been amazing that people were holding on to these items and brought them to us. And we hope to see that again.
And there is an opportunity for people to register online, correct?
Correct. You can visit our Eventbrite page, or you can go to nyc.gov/safe disposal. That's our link, and you can find our safe event page there. You can register for your time slot on Eventbrite, and then hopefully that way we'll get you in and out faster to manage the line better.
Oh, well, we want to thank you so much, Ashlee, for giving us this much needed information. Hopefully we'll see some Bronxites out there at Orchard Beach. Again, the date is May the 14th between 10 and 4 p.m. in the Orchard Beach parking lot. It's rain or shine. You can find somebody there to help you with your disposables. Ashlee, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you so much. We hope to see you there.
Yes, and our viewers want to let you know the opportunity for you again to find out more information. You can go ahead and visit the website. The website is nyc.gov/safe disposal. You can get all the information on how to safely dispose your household goods and those other harsh products. We are taking a quick break. We want you to stay with us. Open continues right after this. And welcome back to the show. Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis High School offers a variety of programs to its students, which include international business studies, accounting, drama, dancing, and much more. And recently, one of their teachers passed away, and they're holding a tribute show on Saturday, May the 14th. We're pleased to have sharing with us retired dance coordinator and educator at Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis High School, Vivian Ullmann. And Vivian, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
And as I mentioned in the outset of our leading into the segment, that it's a very special time as you are paying tribute to one of your teachers who is now deceased, and for your staff as well as the students, an opportunity to honor their legacy.
Yes, so Kimberly was a student at JKO, actually a part of the first graduating class. And from the beginning, I noticed an amazing gift and talent for her artistry in choreographing. And so as a teacher and somebody who was nurtured in my own dance background, felt it important for me to nurture this gift that I felt that she had. And so when she graduated, even when she was at JKO, she choreographed on the students. She choreographed. When she was choreographing, I noticed she would say, okay, everybody come up with 8 counts. Once the 8 counts, she said, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Each one went, and then she came back to exactly them all sinking in together. And when they would start doing it, if they weren't right on cue, stop, we're going from the beginning. And that was a sign, here is a gift. Here is a gift that you need to nurture. And so I did. When she graduated, she went to FIT. I had her come back numerous times to choreograph on the students, which they loved. Loved having her, loved her meticulousness, and actually created a dance troupe based on all JKO students. They actually performed at the World Trade Center before 9/11 and numerous other places. And as an outcome of this, from coming back so much, she once said to me, who am I kidding? I got to do this. What else is there in my career but to become a teacher? Will you write a recommendation for NYU for me? I said, okay, here we go. Don't ever ask me if I will. Just tell me who, when, and where. And there was the beginning of her impact and her legacy of what she went on to do.
And just telling the story, I mean, obviously, I'm laughing because I can see the impact that she's had on you, the impact that she's had on students. How rare is that to have somebody that makes such a great impact on a community like this?
It is rare, but I think it's so important for that to exist because she felt what was given to her and knew this was something she had to pursue. And so she did that with a joy. And also, I know when she taught at Beacon High School, she was that same nurturing person to her students in trying to impact their future. She lived life, unfortunately died way too early, but she lived life doing what she loved more than anything. And I think that was such an important aspect for her to pass on, and she did.
So when we look right now, obviously you've got Kimberly's impact on students, Kimberly's impact on staff, and it's tied to the arts. And when we talk about the arts is something that sometimes we don't really lift up in schools. As a matter of fact, it's one of the first things that get cut out of the school budget. But talk to us about the impact of arts on students.
It's huge. I've always been a believer that we are trying to develop the whole person, from the child to the adult. And part of that includes the arts. It's not subject, subject, subject. It's how they connect. I would always tell my students, dance is actually the last thing, the steps that I'm teaching you. How to be a community. When you're dancing, you're a community. When you're creating, you're a community. Your creativity is huge in critical thinking in your life. Being diverse in knowing culture, being acceptance of all different cultures is what certainly New York is about and what our world is about. So I think it is a huge importance for education, to developing young people that are community oriented, creative, and have self-confidence.
When we talk about self-confidence, it's something that comes, right? And it's something that's built and developed as children begin to participate in arts and education. And as we talked about arts and education and the need for it to be funded, talk to me from your perspective about what it's meant for you to be able to teach and also to be able to share the impact that it has on students that resonates not just for their educational career, but really for the rest of their lives.
Yes, I was extremely lucky. I danced with a small June Lewis and Company dance company. And through that company, we did lecture dems around the city. Somebody approached my director if she knew somebody who was interested in teaching in the public school. She immediately thought, for some reason, she knew something in me that I didn't know in myself, that I would be great for this opportunity. She mentioned public school, high school. I said, you got the wrong one. And she hounded me. This is for you. You need to do it. Best thing she ever made me do, because I felt it's so important for students to be nurtured and to have that community in school. Always the first thing to be cut, always the most important thing to be funded. Really, really important that students can feel their creativity and be able to in lives. And I know from being connected after they graduated with some of my students who were not so easy when they were in high school, but I still knew they may not be hearing you now. At some point, they will hear the importance of this. And I can't say how often I get, Miss, I so apologize for being a nightmare to you. Thank you for not giving up on me. You have been a mentor and an inspiration in my life. One is a teacher in Egypt. She is now, so there is all of that. Another student who is performing at the tribute is a dancer, has his own small company. Kim went on to teach at NYU at Beacon, and her last was a full-time faculty member teaching dance education at Rutgers. So there are some of the thoughts of what education can be. The more diverse instead of subject that we give our students, the more it opens their eyes, especially in this world today, the potentials that are out there for them to enjoy doing.
What's it like for you? I mean, hearing a student come back and say, listen, I gave you a problem in class, but yet and still to see them now become fruitful, to be forward in their career, and now looking back and saying, this was a very instrumental part. I'm sure while they're giving you all the fever while class is going on, it's not too pleasant. But now that it's all over with and they're able to look back and you're able to look back, what's that mean to you?
It is the most joyous thing that I could say. There is no greater joy to see some of my former students and see the amazing adults that they have become. COSI is one of those as well. All of these alum who have embraced this tribute and honoring, messaging me, please let me know, Miss Ullmann, anything that I can do to contribute to this. There is nothing better than knowing that you help be a part of making their futures so important, and knowing the impact of giving in life, because there is no greater joy in life than giving. There is no price tag on that, and there is no greater wealth than you can get than that.
Well, I want to thank you, Vivian Ullmann, for coming and sharing with us. Retired dance coordinator and educator at Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis High School. And thank you so much for being with us, and best wishes as you have your tribute concert for Kimberly Elliott. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I just want to say I'm kind of retired. I still actually mentor new dance teachers in their first and second year to help them have the positive experience that I had, as well as still doing field supervision for Hunter when teachers are about to get certified.
Well, Vivian, we know the old saying, once retired, never retired. So we congratulate you on still being out there doing the great work and impacting so many people's lives through arts as well. And we want to let our viewers know, if you do want more information, go ahead. You can find out more by visiting Eventbrite and then search Tribute Concert for Kimberly Elliott. We encourage you also, don't go anywhere. We've got more open coming up right after this. And welcome back to the show. Well, the Bronx Night Market has reopened for the year 2022. Now, we want you to know this year's festival will actually triple the amount of vendors and performers, supporting the growth of local small businesses by empowering them economically, also allowing for some cultural expression, and then also encouraging community development. We've got with us right now the founder of Bronx Night Market. We've got Marco Shalma. And Marco, glad to have you, my brother. And as always, this year looks to be a little bit different, but if we go based on last year, it's a whole lot to expect.
First of all, thanks for having me again. I appreciate you. This has kind of been a tradition of ours, doing that every year and growing together. And I appreciate you and the entire BronxNet team. Yeah, man. I mean, we knew coming out of pandemic last year, when we did what we could to kind of keep the community happy, we knew that this year is not going to be enough. We knew like there's a lot of players out there. And we wanted to show like how we, the small group from the Bronx, starting over here, can do something that's really gonna, show up to the rest of New York and show them that we can do something, And I think like the idea of changing it into like a monthly event really came to fruition in last week's event. That was the opening day with a tremendous amount of people showing up. It was the biggest celebration that we've ever had in the Bronx Night Market since 2017 when founded, man. It was amazing.
Well, when we talk about, the community coming out, it's amazing to see the amount of people that come out. But we know that at the heart of it is really trying to build small business, right? Small business is the lifeblood of America. And sometimes with big corporate franchises, it's hard for the average person to support small businesses. But this is really intentional, supporting small business at its best.
And I would take it even a step further, and I say like those are even micro businesses, because definition from the SBA, small business is anything under 500 employees. And we know that my vendors, over like 150, 170 of them, it's a small mom and pop shop. Usually it's like 1 employee to 4 employees, which kind of falls under the category of micro businesses. And we've always been in IMO, it's always been the mission to support small businesses, especially local small businesses, especially and predominantly female-owned, POC-owned, LGBTQIA owned, immigrant owned businesses from our community of Uptown and the Bronx, and making sure that they got a pathway to succeed. With all the accolades, with all the awards, with all the great turnout that comes out, my biggest accomplishment, mine, Beatrice, my partner, and our team, is the fact that every year, at least about 10 of our vendors that starts with us very humbly, moving to like a brick and mortar or a multi-unit operation, or even like having their products in the frozen section of like big companies like Whole Foods and whatnot. So, that is the big accomplishment, because those businesses stay in the community and they create jobs for the community, and they show the path for the young entrepreneurs from within the community that you can create a business, you can make money, you can be conscious about it, and you can thrive within your community and not having to go outside of your community to do that, And I think that's always been a big pet peeve of us.
What's it been like for you, obviously, as you move on to this year? We know last year was COVID and you still had major attendance, but when we talk about this year and the progression, in the beginning, I assume it's hard to really get people to buy in the vision and see what you're doing. But now with the success, how much easier has it become for you to get businesses, get the people out there, get the word out there, and get the kind of impact that we're seeing right now?
It's a double-edged sword in a way, because, yes, we got more traction and credibility, not only in the borough, but like in the city and different organizations. So we have more of that help to kind of push the word out there and kind of help us support the marketing and the promotion and whatnot. And through that, do good. But at the same time, the proof is on us. We have to prove ourselves each and every event. You're only as good as your last event that you did, and if your last event you did not have any turnout, then you're nothing, and so we live with that continuously, and understand that like we can never sit back and enjoy that more than a day or two after the event, and this is like the team knows that, we get 2 days after the event to kind of rest up, to enjoy, to bask in glory, and the third day is just like back to work. We gotta one up what we just did over there, because it's the mentality. And I think like having a team of warriors, local warriors with me working and doing that, and we all are the same mindset of every time we got to do just a little bit better than before. This is what really makes us special and unique. And this is what also helped this small little group from the Bronx start kind of get noticed everywhere around the city and beyond that. We're getting phone calls and emails from Harlem and Washington Heights and Brooklyn and Queens and Jersey and all over, just to kind of say, hey, we like what you guys are doing. Come do something with us, and it makes me happy. I said in some conversation, I said, in the next 2025, I want, Mass Hospitality, the producer of, Bronx Night Market and other, I want people to know the story of like how we started so humbly in 2016, 2017 in the Bronx with a few janky tents and not really knowing what we did. And then I want to be like in the other side and say like, wow, this is one of the most incredible companies in the country, thinking right. Big, why not, and I think that's just another accolade to the Bronx and the hustle and mentality and the ingenuity that we have.
You put a lot of emphasis on diversity, and when we know the Bronx and New York City, of course, It's probably one of the most diverse places in the United States, particularly the borough of the Bronx. So many cultures. If you want to go eat somewhere, so many different types of food. But you were able to actually garner all of that, put that together in one location for people to be able to come enjoy. Talk to us about how you were able to reach that diverse group of people.
You know, like anything else, you know, like, and I think like in entrepreneurship and in business, opportunity came about, you know, like for me, it came from my personally, because I lived in the Bronx for the last, 15 years or so. And there's certain foods, even though there's diversity, there's certain foods that I couldn't kind of get. And I had to kind of commute to like Brooklyn or whatever, you know, out of a personal idea. It's like, hey, you know what, like we need to have more of those opportunities. We need to have more of those foods, but also, you know, everybody needs to come and try our food, you know, so from that kind of created that element. Now, diversity does play a big part of that, because this is the way that our company looks, you know, like our company is female, forward. You know, we have out of 15 people that in the team right now, we have 13, women leading the team and doing an amazing job of that. We have, diversity when it comes to people of color. I think for us is understanding that we represent, beyond the element of fun, we represent a community which is uptown in the Bronx, which is a lot more diverse than other areas, and in doing so, we want to make sure that like we create events that are safe, that are affordable, that are equitable, and then making sure that people feel comfortable and know that like a $20 can go a long way, and the emphasis is on community, is on making sure that people feel belong and a sense of pride, that it's something that is within them, not like a circus show that's being dropped into a community. It's always got to represent the community, and that's like why we work really hard to make sure all the time, because it's part of who we are. We're conscious about it.
Yeah, Mark, I want to let people know that if we're talking about attending the next Bronx Night Market, Friday, May the 28th, it's going to take place at 1 Fordham Plaza, and you can come out between 1 and 7. That's rain or shine, and there is an RSVP, right, for some surprises that people can do. So make sure that you reach out to them and be a part of this growing, burgeoning, great experience right here in the borough of the Bronx, the Bronx Night Market. Marco, Shalma, as always, my friend, it's good to see you. Good to have you here on the show.
Thank you, my brother. Just like you mentioned, Saturday, May 28th, 1 p.m. All the information is on the website, BronxNightMarket.com, or on the Instagram at BronxNightMarket. I look forward to seeing you, Daren, in person. You've been promised me for a while. You're going to come and eat with me. I'm going to hold you to it. This year's the year, brother.
Brother, you put me on TV, so it looks like I'm gonna have to make it my way down there. So listen, if I'm on TV and I gotta say I gotta be there. So you can look forward to seeing me May 28th on Saturday. We'll be out there.
And I got you one of those for you when you come.
All right, bet. I'm looking forward to it. Marco, Shalma, our guest here on Open, talking about the Bronx Night Market. Now, if you want more information, don't hesitate to visit the website, BronxNightMarket.com, and then follow them on social media at Bronx Night Market. Well, unfortunately, we come to the end of our show today. I want to thank all of our guests for joining us, but most of all, want to thank you, the viewer, for tuning in. Now, if you missed any part of today's show, you can always catch the Recablecast on BronxNet Channel 67. If you have Verizon Fios, that'll be Channel 2133, or anytime on the web at BronxNet.org. Now, if you want a brand new episode of Open, come back on Friday morning. My girl, Rena Valentine, she brings you the best of arts and entertainment. And until then, I'm Daren Jaime saying take care, God bless, and most of all, keep this channel